Welcome back at the Lodge with Jim and Michelle, a podcast celebrating life spent in the great outdoors. Whether you're an angler, a hunter, trapper, or someone just enjoying an active outdoors lifestyle, this show is for you. Join Jim Broughton and Michelle Sherman as they discuss outdoor news, opinions, events, and much more occurring over recent weeks. It's time now to pull up a chair, pour a favorite beverage, gather close to the campfire, and kick up those tired feet and relax, because you're back at the Lodge.
Okay, well, this is the first Back at the Lodge podcast minus Jim, and I'm not sure how he's going to feel about this, that I am here talking to Melissa Bachman today at her home in Minnesota. We won't say where, just general vicinity. somewhere in Minnesota. So thanks for coming on to my podcast, Melissa.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me to your home. And Pork Chop is here. She's sunning herself right now, but she was pretty darn excited to see me, and I got lots and lots of kisses from her. So she's very, very sweet. How old is she now?
She was born October 8th, so she's not quite a year old yet,
Wow.
but her specialty is lots of licks for everybody.
And you bring her on all your hunts now.
Yes, actually, I went through and I have my whole fall plan, and I get to bring her with everywhere except for 3 hunts.
Wow.
And the hard part is bringing her out of the country, so when I go to Canada, there's a lot of forms and paperwork.
They don't like puppies in Canada?
No, so I sent my parents a babysitting schedule, and they have Pork Chop babysitting dates, and they've approved
That's
it. So.
awesome. And I told you, too, I'd be happy to babysit Pork Chop, although my cat, who's also a black and white tuxedo cat, looks very similar to Pork Chop in size and color. I don't know if he would allow such activities at the home, so...
She's a little high-strung.
Yeah, but that's okay. If you need it,
Yeah.
I'm there for you. So
Thank you.
So we've had a great summer together where you've been home and we've been able to like chit-chat and talk and meet up, but you're going to be leaving me pretty soon.
Yes, unfortunately, all good things come to an end. No, I'm really excited. I've got a really fun fall coming up, and there's a lot of logistics that go into planning it because I don't want to ever have to think about anything of where I'm going or what the plan should be. Everything is thought out before I ever leave, so that way I know where Pork Chop's going, where my trailer's going,
right?
All that, and I'm pretty excited this year to have my new trailer that's going to be coming along.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this for like the last 3-4 months, about this trailer. You had to go down to Nebraska. We're in Valentine?
Yes, so they're made in Valentine. It's signature quarters.
Okay.
They're living quarters. And basically, so it's just like a big horse trailer. So
That's
it's
so
rugged,
cool.
but it has the luxury of like a 5-star hotel. It is just beautiful. And they're actually made just by hunters, for hunters, and it's going to be really nice. They've thought of everything you can imagine. I mean, I've got a place for my UTV. I've got places inside. We've got an outdoor entertainment system so we can all sit around by the fire.
Are you kidding me? So you're going to have a place to like, because you do all the production for your show. So did you set up a place to do production inside the trailer?
Absolutely. I have my own desk in there. They built a monitor that's built in so it'll never fall all over and move. So what I'm really excited is I'm always going in and out, right? So it's really hard. So this Rangemaster Trailers, they had approached me and said, you're the perfect person. You're on the road all the time.
Right.
Help us put this thing together. And it has been so much fun. Dusty and his whole family and all these guys are just great to work with. And what I like about it is it's going to make my fall even better. Now, I'm a little nervous about pulling a 32-foot trailer.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a nice area to live in. I can keep my things organized. And,
Right.
wherever I go, it can come. That's the good thing. Campers, they can only go certain places. This is going to be lifted 6 inches, just like my truck. And it can go anywhere I go.
So speaking of campers, so are you going to park in like an RV park or where are you staying?
I'm going to actually just pull up right basically where we're hunting. I've got a generator, I have water, I have everything that I need.
So you don't even need.
No.
Oh, that's really cool.
And that's what's really nice is some of the places you're stuck. You either have, a 40-minute drive from town if you want to stay in a hotel. This way, not only is all my stuff there all the time, but it's going to be great because I don't have to worry about bringing things back and forth. We get nice accommodations.
Right.
And guess what? The most important thing, Pork Chop has a home.
Be there. Did you have a built-in bed for her?
Pork Chop actually has the very first doggy door ever put into one of
Are
these
you kidding
trailers.
me?
So they built a pork chop doggy door, and I'm going to have it set up so she can come and go while I'm out hunting. She'll have her own home. That was important to me because I didn't want her to have to be moving. And, you know, some places, they may not want a dog in camp. Problem solved, problem staying solved. Range master trailers.
And I know you got to pick out like all your finishes too, and I know you were a little overwhelmed. I remember you talking to me like, I don't know what I want.
It's just like building a home. I mean, you get to pick out the wood, the flooring, everything you can imagine. And the good thing is if you have something like for me, I'm editing. They can build it. You know, you tell them the idea, they figure it out. They said no one's ever asked for a pork chop door before, but now they've got
now
one.
It's a line item.
Yes, exactly.
So if you can go there and say, I want a pork chop door, they're like, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And the other nice thing, we put a booster on it too. So a lot of times you're in places where you have no cell service. Now you don't need cell service all the time, but if you run into an emergency, boy, it's sure nice to be able to put that booster on.
That's
to
cool.
Stay in touch. It'll be nice for everybody this season because I'll be able to stay on social media more. And I go to some crazy places and you'll be able to see me right from the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of booster, I know a lot of hunters used to do the old satellite phones. Is that still popular in camps?
The satellite phones depends. Like when I go up to the Yukon or to Alaska, a lot of times I'll bring a satellite phone as well. But I actually just rent them. Because they're very expensive to have.
Rent a satellite phone.
Yeah, you can go online and you just rent it and tell how much you want, and it works great. But the problem is they're expensive to have. I like having a booster. If you're going to be in the United States, even at an area in Nebraska in the Sandhills where I have no signal, you put that booster on, you've got a signal.
You at least have a couple bars. Okay, so that's better than a satellite phone. That's interesting. Well, if you're hearing any scratching on the recording right now, it's because Pork Chop is trying to lick my face. She's bound and determined to do that. All right, well, I had another thought for you, another idea, but now I lost it. So, should we talk about you, Pork Chop, again? Yeah?
Well, one of the fun things that I actually have to leave her on, unfortunately, but I'm taking my grandma to Nebraska.
Oh, that's right. I saw that on social media. She's going to be on a mule deer hunt.
I'm going to bring my grandma to Colorado. And she used to hunt mule deer when she was younger. And I actually was going through and I found video of her holding up this buck.
Are you kidding me?
And so I called her and I said, Grandma, what would you think if you wanted to come on a mule deer hunt with me? And she goes, well, I don't know. I said, I've got...
How old is your grandma?
I don't know if exactly. She probably wouldn't want me to say her exact age.
Is that right? Oh.
She just celebrated her birthday. And all I can say is I hope I look as beautiful as she does at her age. And I hope I can get around like she can. But, we're going to go out there, and it'll just be a neat hunt for her and I to go together. I got her ticket. I used Delta Miles. She can fly out there, and I think it's going to be really a fun experience. And regardless if we get a mule deer or not, that's the least of it. It's just going to be fun to be together. Right. I'll tell you what, though, it'd sure top it off to get her a big old buck.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But it's just the two of you?
Yes.
So is your mom not able to go, or is this?
No, this is just going to be grandma
and granddaughter time. Well, that's really cool. Well, then next year you guys will have to do the 3 generation.
Yeah, it would be kind of neat.
Or 4 generations with Pork Chop.
Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah. Absolutely. I'm actually going to take my mom on an alligator hunt to South Carolina coming up in September.
Are you serious? Oh, wow.
So I brought my dad to Alaska. My mom's coming in gator hunting. My grandma and my brother's like, hey, where do I rate?
Yeah.
What's the deal here?
Yeah. And has your mom alligator hunted before?
No, this will be her first time. But she did tell me I'm not mounting them like you do. I don't want my whole house full of alligators.
Well, you don't have a whole house full of alligators, but you do have, 3?
3, and then I have 2 full body mounts that aren't in here right now. So.
Where are they?
Well, they don't fit.
Are they in your garage?
One is in the garage.
Well, I do see you have an alligator,
a full skin on the couch.
A full skinned alligator. This is a podcast, not a video, but it's a full black. It's very black.
Yeah, I had that one darkened up a little bit, so you can pick the color.
Okay. Yeah. And it just lays across the back of the couch. So when you have people over to your house, for one thing, how many mounts do you have in here? I mean, there's
a lot in here. Yeah. I'm pretty much out of space. We're going to need to upgrade here shortly.
There's no more wall space, you guys.
The good news is a lot of people will come in and they see it and they're like, oh, how does Pork Chop not destroy all your mounts? Yeah. And the thing is, they've been here since she was a puppy. The only thing that she loved when she was a puppy is you'll notice the zebra rug, the ear, stick straight up because she thought that was a great chew toy, and she'd pull on the tail and it'd flip back and forth.
Yeah.
So that was the only mount she ever really messed with, but it's been really good. She doesn't mind at all. It's just what she's used to.
Yeah, and if you brought in a new one, not that you have the space, then she might.
Yeah, if I had
Pick on
it
that
down,
one.
but hopefully she's pretty good. She hasn't chewed anything up, or
Yeah.
she's got a lot of toys.
Have you these are from hunts of years past, because you've been hunting for years,
Yeah.
even though you're very young yourself. So is there anything, what's the most recent one?
The most recent, I actually do not know. I'm not sure. I have the big wide mule deer from Nebraska that I shot last year with my mom.
Oh, okay.
So I just got that back the other day.
And where's that at?
Well, I don't know. There's no wall space for it right now, so
It's a hanging mount?
Yeah, but it's sitting on the floor right now. But it'll go up eventually.
Yeah. And I love, you were talking about mule deer hunts with your grandma, and you did that with your mom. You, in a recent show, Winchester Deadly Passion, which airs on Sportsman Channel, by the way, you were talking about how you really loved wide-tined deer.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that is the mule deer. So how did that love come about? Because you've been a whitetail hunter ever since you were a little girl.
Right. I guess the reason I love mule deer and fell in love with it is because I started doing it all spot and stock, right? So you're out with a bow and you just see, they've got a lot of inches of antler when you
Yeah.
get up to a mule deer. And my first year out, I crawled, it was probably 400 yards through cactus, through everything. This outfitter just laughing and giggling back in the truck as I crawl all the way out there. I got
Because he knows what you're getting into.
Right. And
Yeah.
I'm literally got stickers in my arms,
Yeah.
and I get all the way to this little white bush where I wanted to get. It was 18 yards away, and I thought, oh no, what do I do now?
Yeah.
They're all bedded, and I'm on my belly, and the grass is short.
And
How
you're
do
bow
even-
hunting, you gotta draw.
You gotta get to full draw. So I just kind of panicked and popped up real quick and drew, and they all ran off. And I just remember seeing these big, wide muleys running away from me, and
And
I
ever
thought,
since you're hooked.
yeah, that was a bad deal. He goes, what were you thinking? I said, I didn't know what to do. I panicked.
Okay, well, looking back on that, here's a learning moment for you. What should you have done in that moment?
What I would do now is I would either lay on my back, get to full draw, and then sit up. Or,
Oh.
that would be a way. That's why you don't want your draw weight too high, because you can do things like that. Or I'd have just got to my knees. Slow is better. Everything should be slow, and then they may not notice. Mule deer are really curious. So if you just did things real slow, you'd be fine.
They might just be like, "What's that
I
over
did the
there?"
opposite of slow. I did speedy Melissa as fast as you could pop up, and it did not work.
Another funny video, I don't know if is this on your YouTube channel about you falling off the round bale?
Oh, yes, you can find that.
Was that in Nebraska too?
No, that was up in Alberta.
Oh.
And we had spotted this big mule deer out, and we thought, okay, I saw him. The guide and my cameraman did not see the mule deer, and they said, I don't think there's a mule deer there. The grass was really high. I said, I swear I saw a big buck in there. We waited and didn't see anything, so we started sneaking up to it, and as we got closer, nothing. And the grass was still high, and I said, he could
Yeah.
still be in there. I want to get up on the hay bale and look down.
Yeah.
Now, when it started, my intentions were good, right? Like, I thought that'd be fine. I was a pole vaulter, college athlete. I'm sure I can hop up on this hay bale. Well, I hopped up, and there was nothing to grab a hold of, so I just slid down. So then I hopped up again, slid down, they're laughing, we're all giggling, fall over, and then all of a sudden, big mule deer pops up within 30 yards of the blind and just took off. And within 30 yards of the blind, just took off, and I'm like, oh no. And we realized we busted that entire stock. But you know what? It was the last day. I'd been hunting 10 days. I did not go home with a mule deer, and that was the last one.
Oh my God.
And at the time, I was really heartbroken. But,
I bet.
it's one of those things now, I laugh about that more than if it probably would have actually worked out. So,
one of the things that you do that I don't think I could ever do is the amount of hours you spend in a blind.
it takes a special type of person sometimes. And
Yeah.
that just might err on the side of stupidity sometimes.
Yeah.
But when I go out hunting, I sit there all day. So when I go, especially South Dakota, as it gets closer to the end of October, November, I never am not out there all day. And I usually will go in at least an hour before it gets light, and sometimes more. And you're staying late. It is a long day. But I'm someone who I'm always trying to come up with ideas. I bring blank paper. I'm always writing ideas
Yeah.
down because you don't always have coverage. And you just have to come up in your own mind with things to think about and keep you occupied. And now I've got pork chop to keep me occupied in the blind, so we should be good.
Okay, so we talked about mule deer hunting. That's become your favorite. How you stay active in the blind. And now you have pork chop. Your hunt with grandma. I mean, and you're leaving. Like I said, you're leaving me here pretty soon. So what's the next thing on the agenda?
I'm actually going to Texas on Monday, and I'm going hog hunting. And what's really cool is I'm going to be using my family, a gun that's been passed down through the generations, an old 30-30 lever action that
That's
my
cool.
grandfather used, my dad used, and I'm going to be taking it with. And the cool part is it's Winchester's 150th anniversary this year. So with that, I've been learning all about the history, and I've actually gotten into my own family history
Nice.
and learned what a huge Winchester fanatic my grandpa was and all his guns, and got to go through those photos. And that's just been really fun. And to know a company's been around 150 years and all those generations, this
Right.
will be kind of a show, kind of a tribute to all that. And it's going to be pretty neat. I've been out shooting the 30-30. It's a whole different ball game, but I think it'll be pretty good.
And your grandpa, is he still around?
No, he's not. And in fact, I never got to meet him.
Aw.
So this will be kind of a really neat thing. And, even my dad telling me all about it, it's like he was talking about how proud my grandpa would have been of me that I work with Winchester. And he was,
they're your title sponsor.
yeah, and the fact that that's all he ever talked about. Like, he had no clue that, what would end
Right.
up happening someday.
Right.
But it's neat to know that family history goes so far back. And
Wow. And there's a blog, actually, because you do write blogs for Winchester, and you just wrote a blog all about this 30-30
yes.
gun, and so that's available out there on, is it winchester.com?
Yep, and just go to blogs and you can find it on there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm the youngest. Are you the youngest? No, you're the old. You have a younger brother.
Yes.
So I'm the youngest in my family, so I'm the baby, and so I never really got to meet any of my grandparents or anything like that, and even in the same hospital I was born, that day my great grandpa was in that hospital and died
Oh, wow.
that day. So you want to talk about
Yeah, that gives me goosebumps.
yeah, I know, like things coming and going. It was really
Wow.
weird. So he knew that my mom was in the hospital and having me, but I was kind of an afterthought. I was kind of an oopsie baby. So there's 12 years between my sister and I. My sister's the oldest, and then me. So, but I got away with a lot more stuff.
Well, see, there's
I bet your
advantages
brother
to
did
everything.
too, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. The first one is always,
Very strict rules.
Very strict
After
rules,
that,
yeah.
fine, whatever.
yeah. And how many years apart between you and your brother?
Just 4.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
enough.
It works great, and we fought tons as kids, but now we're best friends, and
Yeah.
it's fun to have him around, and all his help, and we help each other back and forth all the time.
Yeah, he's always helping you out. It's really great. My family's so far apart. That's the great thing about your family is that they're all around here by you. And my family, it's like the nearest one is 2 hours away, and my parents are 6 hours away. So, and my sister is 5 states away. So I don't really get to see my family that much. And I think you become really insular in that. But I'm also very independent. So now if it was any other way, I don't know how I could handle it. But you're pretty independent too.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
you're on the road. Like, what did we calculate? Like 200 and...
Well, last year was 317,
Oh my God.
and this year it is not going to be that much. I'm never traveling that much again.
Yeah.
I have a little baby pork chop now.
I know. But think of the airline miles you had last year,
Yeah,
right?
I made Delta Diamond, and I didn't even fly Delta all the time. So
You still made Delta Diamond. That's awesome.
not good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break for our sponsor, and maybe we'll think of any other fun tidbits to share with our listeners.
Sounds great.
This is the time of year to get out and cook out. So make your next meal sizzle with Camp Chef, the brand known for quality outdoor cooking. From camp stoves to cast iron, from smokers to grills, Camp Chef will change the way you cook outdoors. To eat like a king on your next adventure, go to campchef.com or visit your local sporting goods store and get cooking. Whether you're serving breakfast in the backcountry or barbecue on the back patio, savor the simplicity with Camp Chef. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
All right, we are back, and we stressed out Pork Chop because she's now curled up and sleeping on your lap.
This is really how she manages all day. So while I'm editing, she sits on my lap almost all day. And unfortunately, a lot of times I'm editing into the night, and it can get pretty late and long days. And she will get up and she'll go to bed, and then she'll get back up and come and scratch at my legs and to follow her. And she'll go back to bed and be like, come on, Mom, let's go to sleep.
Yeah. She sleeps next to you?
Oh, yeah. She sleeps on my neck and shoulder.
Oh, my God. See, my cat sleeps with me, but I do not allow. He just likes to be pushed up against you and know that you're there. Yeah. But butts down by the legs. I do not allow anything above the waist.
No, Pork Chop is on my chin, neck, and right here, curled up every night, just cuddled all around me. So
that's so sweet. And you mentioned one thing I did want to talk about was your production background. Do you think, in this day and age of being an outdoor TV personality, for lack of a better word, I guess, do you think you can do it without having a production background?
Well, here's the thing. Whether you have a production background or not, it's are you willing to learn and to do it?
Right.
And
are you willing to put in the work?
Yes. The education is great, but you can teach yourself to be an editor, right? It's an art. Not just anybody can be an editor. You can try and try and try. Some people just don't have the eye for it. Okay. Some people can do it and they're okay. But what it really comes down to is putting in that chair time. Literally sitting in front of your computer. I don't even want to tell you how many hours I literally keep Mountain Dew right there, and I just only get up for more Mountain Dew or whatever. But you have to have that dedication. And for me, I could have never made it to where I'm at now had I not had that, because I'd have gotten broke the day I started because I didn't have the money to pay anybody else. I didn't even have the money to pay myself.
Right.
So for years, you just have to keep doing that yourself. And as you get bigger, you can expand and you find out where your strengths are and find people to help. But still to this day, I do so much editing. And some of it I like, some of it I don't. You kind of find what your niche is. I prefer the short form stuff. Brad Hadsel works with me, and he does a lot of the full shows now. He's such a great storyteller. You know, I watch a show he does, and I think, okay, that's better than I could have done. And that's what I like in
And so that's that X factor, then. Like, you can't teach that to somebody, is what you're saying.
No,
and how do you, so if you are, like, shopping around for an editor, how do you find someone that has that X factor to work on your show? Or
I think one thing people get kind of narrowed down is that it has to be someone who's a hunter in the hunting industry, right? What you need is a storyteller, okay? There's a lot of great storytelling editors in news, in different types of background that way, and that can come across to anything. Anybody can learn hunting and everything about that, and as long as they like outdoors and hunting, that's important.
Right.
But you need to be able to tell a good story, because if you can tell a good story, you can make something appealing to anybody. But without that, you can have the most amazingly beautiful footage, and if you're bored to tears, it's pretty to look at, but that's about the extent of that.
You get bored,
yes,
even with pretty to look at. So I think that's one of the big things that Jim and I have talked about on past podcasts, like starting your own outdoor TV show, was can you tell a story within that 30 minutes, or technically 23 minutes is what you need. You know, can you have a beginning, a middle, and then the end? Obviously the climax is when you shoot the animal, but sometimes you don't shoot the animal, and you've done a great job of putting together shows that otherwise probably would have been thrown away as little as 5, 6, 7 years ago, because every show on Sportsman Channel, Outdoor Channel during that time frame had to have a kill shot at the end, it seemed like.
Yeah, and and I think there's something to that, because I like to show people what it's really like, right? I don't want the person at home to feel like, oh my gosh, I went out and I didn't get an animal tonight. I'm a terrible hunter.
Yeah.
What did
I do
true.
Wrong?
Not at all. I put misses in, I put mess ups in, I put all of it in, because I want people to realize you're just like me. I just get to do more of it because I got lucky and put myself into this position, good or bad. But you have to be realistic about it, and knowing that some hunts don't pan out. You can be in the best place in the world at the right time, and sometimes it just doesn't work. I think that's what tells a real story. And you can always highlight past times that were good, so they still get to see kill shots, but on that exact, and people remember those more than the others. It's amazing to hear.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm. I have more people come up and say of something crazy that happened, they remember
like
that.
A miss.
Yep, a miss, or
you falling off the round bale.
There's always that.
Well, I think and one of the most popular episodes you had this past season was called The Art of Self-Filming. And you had so many comments on that, you said.
Yeah, and that's something that people, whether they want their own outdoor TV show or not, people like to show others what they saw out there, right? It's not just a fishtail, right?
Yeah.
Or a hunting tale.
Yeah.
It's you can show it. And that doesn't mean you want a TV show. It just means you want to show friends and family,
Show your
maybe get
buddies.
more people involved. And that's all I want to do, too. So I think that's something important. And that was a show about how to do the best job you can do.
And all the tips you've learned over the years. And how
Yeah, I've had a lot of good and bad. Let me tell you, self-filming, not easy. I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
And it does stress me out a little
Well,
bit.
even on this very last show, I think it was called Sub-Zero Whitetails. Was that the one that you...
Yes.
It was between Christmas and New Year's that you went out to South Dakota?
Yes.
And
Pork Chop was a tiny little baby.
Oh, you brought her with?
Yes, she was only a few weeks old. I had just got her. I got her for Christmas, and the day after Christmas I left, right? So I'm like, hey, little Pork Chop, here we
We're
go.
gonna go.
And we get out there, and it is below zero, and I'm like, oh no, I'm going to kill this little puppy if I bring her to the blind. What am I going to do, right? And I had heaters, and I thought it'd be good, and I'm like, no, I can't do it if she won't make it. So the first night, I actually left her in my hotel in her little kennel, and I was only gone for a couple hours. I come back, and she hates kennels, and she did not like it.
Aww.
And she was stressed out, and
Aww.
and I was so feeling like a bad mom that the next day I didn't even go out. I stayed with
Did
her
you?
all day. It was the
And
best
this was
hunting-
not on the TV
No.
show.
It was the best hunting of my whole life, and I actually took a day off just to hold her because I felt so bad about it. But then I ended up going back out.
You needed that bonding time.
Yes. And actually, Cody took care of her after that and kept her in his jacket and would drive around, so she had
Yeah.
company. She needs company.
And now the Cody's from Warren Ranches,
Yep, Cody
right?
Warren, yep.
Yeah, and I've heard of his name before because Benny Spice, who I'm good friends with, does pheasant hunting on his ranches too. But you don't really like pheasant hunting, right?
Well, I like pheasant hunting, but I don't get to do it a whole lot anymore, you know?
And I'm a bad shot.
No.
Yeah, it's just horrible.
No.
So I like doing it, but because it's like I think it's the only hunt you can do where you can walk and talk and hunt at the same time, you know?
Well, that and gators. And you don't even have to walk for gators. You can just talk and have fun and shoot gators, so that's fun.
Or maybe I should try the carp fishing, right?
There
The
you
bow
go.
fishing.
That is fun.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
All right. Well, thanks, Melissa, for letting me in your house today. And,
Yeah, well, thank you
hanging
for
out with
coming. I
Pork Chop.
appreciate it.
Now she's moved over to the other couch. I guess your
Too
lap,
much movement.
Your lap was not good enough, so she's so cute sleeping on the couch. Oh my god. All right. Well, until next time, everyone. Thanks for listening to Back at the Lodge with Jim and Michelle, but minus Jim. Hope you're not mad.